So I'm in Hawaii. Start off the day after a wonderful, I want to say it was a Friday evening. Now was in the North Shore. I make my way to Waikiki with my lady at the time. I decide, hey babe, I'm gonna go for a surf, hit the gym up, I'll see you in a bit. I go for a surf, Queens, amazing. I get done with the surf, as I usually do, I go over to the 24-hour gym on Kalakaua, which is usually, probably not there now, but it was an amazing, beautiful gym overlooking, Waikiki's main strip. I get my workout on. Great workout. I go to the showers. For some reason in the shower, I had the idea to check, likely because of the movie that I watched, Fight Club, the night before. I checked my testicles for lumps because I was an RA in college, a resident assistant, and we would have programs. So I go and I check. Ball number 1, big, nice, all right. Ball number 2, twice as big, maybe even 3 times. Then I'm concerned. Lump in my throat, little nervous, a lot of shit running through my mind, but mainly I'm telling myself, don't freak out. Go home. So I go back to my lady's place at the time, which is just a little bit around the way, also in Waikiki, and I'm thinking I need to go to the hospital. So I make something up, and then I go over to Queens. I go to the emergency room, and they sit me in for an ultrasound. I get the ultrasound, and they're like, we need to do something about this because you have an issue, Houston. And I'm like, okay, all right. So they tell me that I need to find a urologist. I go back home, and of course that's the beginning of the process, but really it's to find someone to help to remove what's already growing quickly that I had no idea was happening, and I had just been checked for everything under the sun 2 weeks before. So I'm like, all right. I go back and I have this talk with my partner, and I tell her, look, didn't tell you the truth about where I went. I just came from the hospital, the emergency room, and I was checked, and looks like I have a lump, and we know I just went to the doctors for everything under the sun 2 weeks ago, and they checked me, and they didn't have anything, so there's something growing fast. There's something I need to do. So, fortunately for me, she had a lot of experience in the medical system, and had been through things that really left her in a compromised position, so she was a hawk for helping me to find a good medical team. And that was kind of the beginnings of a journey of me with cancer and also radiation treatment and finding alternative methods. And I'm someone who's navigated cancer twice. So I give you this to share some context because what I know through my own lived experience is and are the things that go through a person's mind when they've realized, oh shit, there is something, the doctors are telling me that there's something in my body that, as we know, in most society could really do damage to you if you don't catch it, if you don't figure things out, if you don't make the right moves. And there's a lot of fear on what are the right moves. And not every time you're given a prognosis that's really what it is and also the right moves. So this is an introduction to share about the Obsidian Soul Lounge, which we're about to get into. My brother Jermaine, my brother Source, is on. And I just want to also extend my gratitude for him for coming on because this is something that we share. Also, we share Florida upbringing as born in Brooklyn, moved to Chicago, from Chicago, down to Florida, down south. So I got the East Coast, Midwest, down south. I have lived in Cali. I love the West Coast. I've also lived in the islands, Hawaii. This all happened to me in Hawaii, twice. First time, medical system. The second time, I used naturopathic healing. And it was a lot easier, difficult and easy at the same time. So I won't make this one about me, but I wanted to give you some context because we're going to speak about this. I'm going to introduce you to this brother, and I'm going to have some questions for you, Source. And really, this is us getting into the journey that you and I are going to get to take in the space of creating spaces for people to reflect on what's going on within their frames and being exposed to some more naturopathic alternative methods for remedying, if I could say that, the journey of what can happen within. Because what I remember, what I'll never forget are the moment that I felt that lump in my testicle, the moment that I decided to go look into it, everything that I had to feel, when I got the first prognosis, then every time I had to sit with a doctor, the checkups, the nausea, the journey of coming to a place where I said, you know what, I'm going to heal this. And I didn't tell most of my family. I didn't tell my daughter. I only told my mom, my dad, my siblings, and that was almost close to after the surgery. And then, I navigated a lot of that alone, and I couldn't even tell the job that I had. I tried, but it didn't work out that way. So I had to contend with a lot of it under some shady circumstances, but I wouldn't take any of it away because it cultivated a special strength. And I see this in you, Source, who I'd like to invite on. So my brother, if you would do me a favor and make a request to come on, then I can also do this and we can begin our live. Right now, you guys are in. Thank you for all who tuned in for kind of the beginnings free session of the Obsidian Soul Lounge. This is a gathering that I've been hosting for now a year's time. And often we would do this in a space, here in Tulum, the X Clubhouse, the top floor, or in another one of the spaces that I've had. And we would host a journey navigating and demystifying metaphysics, healing as it relates to health, wealth, finances, romance, right? What are the underlying, the unseen aspects of our journey and the things that we're navigating with health, with the energy of our finances, the true currency of what it is to be a human being, and also the confusion. Demystifying means to remove the confusion. So, Source, again, you should look into, look under your menu, maybe on the side, and let me see if I have the option to add you. Is press the OK, and then you'll possibly have to adjust your screen when you come on. I don't know if you can feel the energy, right? Or if some of you who've joined on have had something such as a cancer, an illness, some dis-ease, and they can navigate that in a way. Turn your camera around, brother. And I'm happy to welcome you on. Let me go ahead and adjust my camera so my full head can be seen. Mute your mic if you can. Okay.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to it, man. Getting situated, man.
Mute your mic while you're doing that, and then turn your screen on when you get a chance. So you're going to turn your screen around and have it face you, and turn your camera on.
Okay.
There you go. Maybe adjust it a little bit higher so you can be seen, and then we want to get some light on you, so you might need to turn around. I want everyone to see the beautiful face of a man of triumph and the healer. Yes. And so while you get that adjusted, I know you can hear me. Now I'm going to begin to introduce you. Okay? But I need to see your face a little bit better too. Yeah. And so as you guys know, I'm really direct and to the point. But the point that I'm on right now, the mission that I've been tasked with for this life, self-tasked, and also just part of what it is to show up is to connect with brothers. Now it's gathering the healers, men who have navigated, men and women, who've navigated a space of triumph through adversity, and who have chosen to serve humanity, who've chosen to serve the people around them, their communities, by honing in on the skills, by having gone through things that have cultivated the person that they are, and beginning to pay it forward. But you see, this brother already paid it backwards and forward and to the side. So I also spent a lot of time in Florida. This is one of the places where I came into great moments of awareness. You could even say I walked into this body in Florida from a car accident, which is a story for another day. So in my journeys, in my travels, I don't have a Florida accent, but I definitely got a Florida vibe, and so I kind of rise up when I hear people talking smack about Floridians. Now, we both know Floridians have their uniqueness. That's what I'm gonna call it. We have Publix, Winn-Dixie, and Walmart, and so we know you can designate a person like that, even though maybe we may go to all three. And so, it's a special honor. And any of you guys who come on, don't you say a word about Florida, because I'm like that about the places that I've been and the people there, because there's deep wisdom, right? Deep insight, deep connection in that state. The entire state is a vortex, much like Texas. Everywhere is a vortex. So do your homework on the chakra that Florida is in the ley lines, especially some specific parts. And I invite you all to open up your minds and to receive the wisdom of any individual, regardless of where they may come from, because that wisdom is coming your way and they are a reflection of you. Source, you good, brother? Yes. And
absolutely, man. Absolutely. Can you hear me?
I can absolutely hear you. I'm so happy to have you on. And so, again, I started off and I shared, hey, guys, imagine if you were given 180 days to live. What would you do? That sounds like an old song with DMX and the Locks. right? It
I
makes
know what you're talking
number
about,
one,
man.
if I only had 24 hours to live, just think, but it feels like that. And I would love to take this opportunity to allow you to introduce yourself. What I've shared is the journey of what the first prognosis of cancer was. I didn't share so much about my journey of healing, but what we have in common is a unique assisted and then self-identified method journey of really cultivating your strength back and taking your life in your own hands and saying, no, I'm going to be here and I'm going to figure out what actually works and then I'm going to do it. Those three things take a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
welcome to the Obsidian Soul Lounge, man. Please, can you
Hey man, I appreciate you
share?
having me here, man. I appreciate you. Hey man, I appreciate you having me here. It's always love, man. It's
I
always
love you,
love,
man.
man, when we deal with
Yeah.
each other, man. Hey man, we got a lot of similarities, a lot of similarities in life. So just to introduce myself. So so I'm Source. Jermaine, Jermaine Bly, my real name. I got into this years ago when I was sick. They told me I had 180 days to live. I started throwing up clots of blood. Didn't know what was going on. Actually, I did know. I mean, we all kind of know. I
Yes.
didn't know specifically what it was called, but I knew something was going on in my body. I mean, nothing ever just pops up and then all of a sudden, just because they say, hey, you got cancer today, all of a sudden I didn't know, like, oh my God, I didn't know that something was going on in my body up until then it just popped up. That's just
Yeah.
not true, but when I did go and get the diagnosis to find out, because the pain was unbearable, it was already in my bones. So it was hard to walk. I owned a few businesses at the time. Not too long before that, I had got out of prison. And my whole goal was actually to just make a legit life for myself. You know what I mean? It was like my whole goal was just to do the right thing and just make a legit life for myself. That was my whole goal. Find out how to make a legit life for yourself without having to create stuff, make stuff. Even when I was doing wrong, I was creating drugs. So, even though it was on the wrong end of the spectrum, it came back to help me on the other end of the spectrum when it was time to heal me and do something positive as well. So, but I ended up running myself into a chaotic vibration. I ended up divorcing. I got married, divorced, and had custody of my son. And I just was sick as I don't know what, man. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I know I'm not treating my body right. So I went to the doctor, and not to mention my dad's a doctor. So, he's been a pharmacist for years. So my dad's a doctor. My mom's an engineer. And it just was, and when they told me that, they said, man, there's nothing we can do. I didn't have insurance anyways. So that turned out to be one of the best things for me because I didn't have an option. It was either die or figure it out. That's that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was
Let me
already,
let me just say something, brother. As
Mhm.
we go, I may pop in to share
Okay.
some things here and there, but I'm just saying that, and I think this is really powerful what you've shared so far, because one of the things that I know we'll get into in the Obsidian Soul Lounge is the fact that okay, so you're living this one way, and then all of a sudden you become a little bit more aware through your journey in prison, reflecting on your life, and you're like, just your journey in life and the other things that you navigated, and you're like, yo, I want to make a shift. Now's the time. You actually have custody of your son. You have all these things going for you, and
Absolutely.
then in choosing to make the shift, all of a sudden things pop up to really challenge that. And a lot of people run
100%.
and turn tail,
100%.
and sometimes life will, if this shift is really big that you've decided, life will throw the thing that's going to help you to really shift, but we don't see it that way. And so I
Absolutely.
really think this,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, everything at the time, everything was all new to me. It wasn't even 3 years or 2.5 years after I got out of prison, man, when this happened. I was in the best shape of my life that I
wow,
thought, but the one thing I didn't take into account was the emotional baggage I was carrying and the emotional toll I had already taken on the body.
mm,
It wasn't about the physical look, of when you getting out. It was about the emotional more. And the things I was ingesting and doing to, let's say, cover up my fear of being in a new society,
mm,
So, I had a business, so on the outside it looked like everything was going good, but I was doing things to mask a lot of other things that actually came back and haunted me, with my body. So, like I said, make a long story short, I went to the doctors. I was throwing up clots of blood. I didn't know what was going on. It hadn't even, not to mention, it hadn't even been 2 years since my mom died. So the one thing that kept me afloat was before I got out of prison, I watched the way they did my mom. I watched the way she had pulmonary fibrosis. And I watched the way they treated her. And I said, I'll never let that happen to me. And I guess my words came back to, oh, we're going to test this out then. So, I got sick, not even two.
Can you
Huh?
share we have so many things in common, brother. I mean, I got cancer before my mother did, so I was guarded, but I also got to witness her journey, which really affected how I chose to go about things during my second
Absolutely.
cancer. I also didn't have insurance during my second cancer. I was in literally in a different state, physically, emotionally, mentally, and the things that you speak to also are the emotional toll. So I want the people. I'm gonna not interrupt because I don't have attention span, but I want people to catch some of these things because they're things that a lot of men don't speak to. We very seldom take the opportunity to understand the toll of the emotions that we've suppressed in following what society has told us to be currently and how that affects us. Also, navigating with the medical society. We typically, and everything has its purpose, but a lot of times we just look at symptoms. By the time the symptoms have showed up, it's really time to get to the source, so to say. And so it's like, how soon can we begin to read the tea leaves to take action? And you may think it's too late, but it may not be too late because you're given that time. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so those are just a couple of key points because I know we're going to get to speak to how emotions manifest in the body. And also, we want to really be able to help a lot of men who are carrying a lot because this is where we do the preventative healing support.
True.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also the journey with your
played,
mom is powerful too.
absolutely. That played a major role. That's why she's a logo on my on my products. Because without her, with her, yeah, that's my mom. Yeah, with her sacrifice, that's the only thing that gave me the edge to push forward. Because like I said, my dad's a doctor. He pushed straight for Western medicine. And technically by now I'd be dead right now. On average, people 5 years chemo, they're dead.
Right.
So, I would have been dead on average a long time ago if I would have listened to his advice, But I took my inner advice of watching how they just yo-yoed my mom and did her while she was waiting on the lung transplant, and then she still died from a bacterial infection from the medicine they gave her. And I said, and that's the only thing that made me say, you know what? I'd rather they're practicing on people anyways. It's called medical practitioners. They don't know shit regardless. They're practicing.
Let me just
practice
chime in.
I can practice
Here we
on
go.
myself.
That's it right there. And let me
myself.
know if this is okay. The way that I'm jumping in here and there too is because you're sharing a lot that I would love for the people to catch. So I'm just going to mention things for them to think about, like medical practitioner, the practice. Consider that. That's really deep what he's sharing. Also, for him and where a lot of us have been able to heal ourselves is allowing some inner advice, right? We're listening to our inner guidance, but we're also pairing that with what we've already observed because we're taught to ignore what we can see with our eyes. And then we're also taught to look at things that are an illusion. So to be able to decipher. So I give thanks and also honor your father for him, trying to do what he knew to do, but for you also choosing to do what was right for you. So also I got to give it up to you as a man, because that's a hard one for us to, we tend to listen to our dads or we just dismiss them altogether, but to know when to do what is a big thing.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
I've always, huh?
Is it okay?
Say that again?
The cadence when I interject in these ways,
Yeah,
or you
that's
prefer
100% fine. That's 100% fine. That's 100% fine, brother. But yeah. Shout out to my dad, man. He only did what he knew, at the time. It's just I'm not indoctrinated as he was. Even though he's the doctor, he has all the plaques on the wall. But I learned at a young age to observe because of the abuse. I haven't even got into my childhood, with the abuse, but because of the abuse, and the religious aspect of things and things that were happening, I knew already that the normal societal way of things was not the way to go about things, even at that young age, because of how I was being treated. So, just being a modern Baptist church, modern, mom's an engineer, dad's a doctor, I saw the chaos. So I knew that, hold up, these people, by societal status, they are, they on paper, it looks good. But even at a young age, because of the truth and me being in the middle of it, I knew it was chaos. So I knew, like, hey, these people aren't at peace. So when it came about, when it came about for me, and the universe put it in my face and said, hey, what you gonna do? You know, you gave yourself the option of not having insurance. You gave yourself these things. Your dad is telling you he'll pay for it, but you going off a personal experience of watching how he treated your mom, and you like, nah. You know what? I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I don't know how the hell to do it, but I'm gonna figure it out. Or I'm gonna die trying. I'm gonna practice on myself. So if you tell me I got 6 months to live, hey, let's run it. That's just how I looked at it. You know, at least I'm gonna run it, and I'm going to try to do it myself. So it took a lot.
And I want to speak
wasn't that easy.
again. Just hop on that part because now what he's speaking to, and big up to Dr. Piff. Thank you. You know, that's an epiphany, right? He says, "Cause I employ doctors, you don't know how true this is. Their motto is a healed patient is a customer lost. Keep rocking, because we're super proud of you." And we understand that. And again, I was actually going to go to school to be a doctor. That's how I ended up. Miss Dimples was on here, and maybe still on here, a sister from Eastern Illinois University. I don't know if I'm the only one, but at least the first brother to graduate from Eastern Illinois University in the physics degree. And I'm the only one to graduate with the radiation physics degree. Also, I don't even know if they still have that major there. You know, and my other good friend is the first one to graduate in engineering. So it's like, that was back in the early 2000s. But what we notice in this time is, what is it, you know, to be a forerunner in certain things, to have to face and choose to move through to be what you're called to be, and it takes courage. And so it's a courageous attitude for you to say, I'm going to heal or die trying, which some of us have to take on, because otherwise you're going to die anyways. So you might as well.
Absolutely.
Kind of that you might as well, you know. So I applaud you for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a major thing when I heal people now. They don't have to say it exactly like that, because I mean, not to be arrogant, but they have me, you know, to guide them in a way. But you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, I'm willing to do this. Hey, the same way you put the trust in the doctor's hands and say, hey, even though you don't know, you're saying it. Every time you sign a piece of paper, that's what you're saying. You're saying, hey, I put my life in your hands, and y'all not accountable if I die. So unconscious, even though you're signing them papers fast because you don't feel good, that's what you're saying. So why can't you say that with yourself? Why can't you put that back in nature's hands? So you know, you have to. It's just like when you you know, when you go to alcoholic class, you know, or you have some kind of addiction or something, they make you say, hey, you know, I am an alcoholic. You have to face that first and say, hey, I'm willing to do this, and then we can move forward. And because a lot of times you're suppressing a lot of things, and that's the thing that's burning you up and killing you in the first place. It's suppression. So you have to get it out and say, hey, I'm okay with this, you know. But you know, you also have to be okay with sacrificing societal goals. So that's the one thing that that was hard for me at first, because my whole goal, like I said, was to get out and just make legit money. You know what I mean? Without, you know, having to do anything wrong. And so now I have a life crisis on my hands, and I have to give that up, you know, because I can't do both, because both are still new. You know, this illness is new. This me trying to hold on to this goal that I had, getting out of prison, is new. And it's like, wow, do I want to give up my societal, you know, where I've gained in society, you know, to figure out something that I have no clue of what I'm going to do. And they told me I have 6 months to live. So it's like, okay, what you going to do? So ultimately I made the decision to figure it out. What I did was I started off in the stores with the organic stuff, the so-called organic, the so-called, you know, I changed up my diet. That's the first place. So I changed up my diet, but I was still in the store. And I started buying all these herbs foods and stuff. I started doing all these remedies. I was researching, you know, eating garlic before you pee in the morning and before all this other stuff. And I kept getting sick. I kept throwing up clots of blood. So I was like, man, what is going on? You know, and so my inner self, one day I was going outside and I saw this little plant on the ground. It's called an Indian mockberry. It grows in a lot of the Georgia yards. And I had a house in Snellville.
Indian mulberry? Like mulberry?
Indian mock, no, mock, M-O-C-K berry.
Okay, Indian mockberry. Thank you.
Indian mockberry.
And I may pause this for clarity, because you're speaking to this thing that you found in the yard. Also, when you spoke to your mother, you said pulmonary fibrosis. Can you?
Pulmonary, yes, pulmonary fibrosis.
Copy that.
Yes.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Indian
So and Indian mockberry is actually one of the berries that they made your hybrided strawberry that you think are real strawberries in the store from. That's a crossbreed of the mother plant. So it's one I didn't know at the time, but that was a mother plant.
Wow.
You know, it grows a little red berry on it, but it doesn't have a taste like a strawberry. But that's one of the crossbreded plants that they use to make the hybrided strawberry that you think is real in the store. You know, and I didn't know. But something was calling to it, and it's just like I didn't know how to do the research like I know now. I didn't know anything. So I'm like, something telling me to eat it, and I'm like, you know, and I'm still fighting with myself, not to mention, because my dad's a doctor. So I'm like, man, you don't know if that thing poisonous, it's red, you could die. And then in my head, I'm like, you're dying anyways. What could it do to hurt you? You know, I mean, you've been taking all these drugs, you've been doing all this other stuff. What can this plant and God do hurt you worse?
Yeah.
So I ended up, I was still scared to eat it. So I took it and I boiled it. I put it in a pot and I boiled it. Yeah, I boiled it because I was scared to eat it. I still didn't know what it was. I was scared to eat it. So I was like, you know what? But I was having an episode. I was throwing up like crazy. My son like,
hold that point real quick. Let me just give everyone a quick introduction. Again, this is my brother Source, Jermaine Source, fresh out of Florida. A man who has been given at one time 180 days to live, and we're navigating through his journey of realizing, no, the medical route wasn't the way for him to go, and then beginning to listen to his inner voice, utilizing his observation as well as, you know, his internal guidance, taking a chance on himself, deciding I'm going to heal or die, because that's really, you know, what we're given, and then beginning to look around and be guided to take things that were in his yard. And so the first thing that he was guided to eat was the Indian mockberry, and he used a term. He said mother plant, because a lot of what we eat nowadays are hybrids. And so I think we're going to get to talk and navigate that as well in the Obsidian Soul Lounge, the deeper journey. But so thank you, brother. Hope you didn't lose your space. So now you're about to, you boiled it up. You decided it's red, but you're going to give it a chance anyways. And you eat, you eat it. What do you do?
Well, I actually I didn't eat the strawberry. I didn't eat the red strawberry because I thought it was poisonous. So I took the plant part of it, and I boiled it in water. And because something just kept saying eat it. And my son, all this is new to him. So he looking like, Daddy, you about to eat something out the yard. You done lost your damn mind. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, I know you sick, but man, you about to get something out the yard. But I took it anyways, put it in the side, boiled it, and I just drunk the water off of it. And the water, and not to mention just tap water. So I'm not to the microbial water where I am now. I took some tap water, put it in tap water.
Wow.
And it still stopped the episode I was having. So I was throwing up clots of blood, and I was like, okay, it stopped it. I'm like, what's going on? Okay. So instantly my instincts were like,
and essentially it extracted the essence,
it stopped the
right?
episode.
Okay.
Huh? It stopped the episode I was having.
The essence in the boiling, which is a crude distillation, and it worked.
Exactly. Which I didn't know I was doing at the time. I'm just experimenting, you know. So I took the rest of it and I ate it. I ate the rest of it. And I felt good. And then, of course, I went through that time period of going back and forth. You know what I mean? I went to eating some more BS, and then it'll come back. And then I started eating the plants, and then it'll stop.
Wow.
So I started going back and forth. And my baseline, so, eventually I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out what I did. Like, what is this plant? So I started becoming obsessed with all the plants in my yard. And I started researching like crazy, like, what's the difference between this stuff in the store that's supposed to be organic that I'm still getting sick off of, and this stuff that's growing wild? So a correlation came to me. One, and I'm not big on religion, but I do know a lot of religion because that's my my mom grew me up in the church, and so in the first beginning of Genesis, I was reading a Bible verse, and I was like, and I'm big on numbers, so 3 times it said, God said, and the plants must come with seed and season, and only I see that they're good.
Right.
The seed the plants must. So I'm like, okay, seed and season. Seed and season. Why is he affirming? I thought everything green was good. And I'm like, okay, why is seed and season? And I went outside, and it was like, boom, right in my face. I looked up under all the trees that I bought from my house around the nursery, like the nursery trees and stuff, and all that stuff. No baby plants growing up under. I say, whoa, all these are sterile. They're hybrids.
Hold on a second, my brother. I mean, you're like big epiphanies, so people please catch this. And I know we'll dive deeper, but man, Source. All right, first of all, seeds in season. Second, I know we had to talk about, I got grass here now, so I'm pretty happy to let it grow because we forget the fact that
True,
we
true,
are on
true,
a cycle. And so you take a plant, you make it hybrid, you take it off its natural cycle to begin with. It's
true,
not
true,
reproducing, right, naturally, and you have to
true.
do all these other things
Naturally.
for it. And then you
Yes,
ingest that, which you're ingesting that life force and that programming. Not only
yes,
that, then the thing we talked about with cutting our lawn and our grass. I think seeds and seasons
yes,
very powerful. Just a very simple thing for people to think about and to look around, and then to
yes.
because you can tailor because we're also part of the seasons of nature, and when we come
Absolutely.
off of that, then
100%.
we create a lot of confusion in the body. So I really love what you're speaking
Absolutely.
to. Whether anyone's interested in the Bible or not, we're not Bible banging. We're just saying that there's wisdom all around us
Oh,
in many
definitely not
different
Bible
ways.
banging, but that just is a part of the journey.
That's just part of the
Definitely not
journey. And
Bible banging.
also,
But but yeah.
everyone is coming from a different perspective. So maybe one of the next lives I'll do is talking about how you've been provided for. Everything that you need is already there. The things that you
True,
learned and need to unlearn are also part of the learning. I'm going to stop right there, and I'd
true.
love for you to continue because it was right under your
Yeah,
nose. Huh?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So everything was right around me. So I'm like, so um I was looking, I was like, see the season. Then it started registering. I'm like, hold up, not the season that man want everything to be on. So I started researching crops and stuff in the store. Not when we put it in the ground, when it's supposed to come. The stuff that was here before my house was here. The stuff that was here before any of us were here. That's supposed to be here. That's the ones that's on God's seed and season. Those are the mother plants. Those are the ones that have all these amazing bioactives in them, all the miracle bioactives. The stuff that's made off of the mother plants don't have these same bioactives. And so I was like, whoa, I started looking around, looking around, looking around. I'm like, okay, so it's on God's seed and seed, not when man, I know we want to plant everything, but it's not when we want to put stuff in the ground all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that he creates are the stuff that have all the magical stuff. It's the stuff that's, think about it. I mean, we try to spray it and kill it. Oh, I'm going to kill everything. Let me kill all the weeds. Let me kill this. Let me kill that. And it still grows back and then becomes resistant to the poison. So why wouldn't you want to eat something that becomes resistant to the poison? They're poisoning you anyways. You might as well eat the plants and become resistant as well.
Okay,
It
let me
doesn't make
just drop
sense.
in and I'll make this short. Now, what's happening is my brother is speaking to logic, the ill logic that we've been given that keeps us from actually doing the math on what we're observing and then just doing what we've been told, right? And then having something happen to him that we consider a crisis that gave him the time to remedy his logic and look and then really do the proper math and align things to get into a phase. And so I think that's really important what you're speaking to, and also the
Well, I'm gonna be
resistance
honest
thing.
with you. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I didn't have a lot of time. I didn't have
No,
a
you
lot of
didn't.
time to remedy. It was like
Yeah.
figure it out quick and do the weird stuff if it's working. So my baseline on if it was working was only what my body was doing because my
Wow.
body had deteriorated so far.
Right.
So that was my only baseline. If it's hurting, something ain't right. If it stopped hurting and
Right.
you just did something,
Hmm.
something is right. That was the only baseline in the
Wow.
beginning. I didn't know the research. I didn't know how to do all this stuff I know how to do now. I like that was the baseline. The baseline was listening to the body because I was in so much pain. It got in my bones. I was, so the pain was a baseline. The episodes was a base. They were a baseline. So so I went off that baseline and I just started going crazy, man. Once I figured that out, I started eating all the plants. I cut off half the people because everybody like, man, man, this man eating off the trees now. I started eating the pine needles.
Hi.
Because everything was affecting my body. I just started going crazy. I didn't care what nobody thought. I just started eating everything. In my yard, I started studying, but I only studied after I ate it, and I felt it.
Okay.
So
So you
originally, I
so
was
you
just going
would
off
let
faith.
me just say this. So you would, and also for Ty, my brother that's coming on. What up, mate? My man's here. For those of you who just joined, again, this is my man's source, Jermaine, coming from the States. He is a medicine man, a healer, and he started with himself. 180 days to live, cancer prognosis. Beat it. Beat it with a bat by listening to his intuition, trusting, and then augmenting it with research to see what was aligned. So that's really powerful.
Absolutely.
And what you're speaking to is, I think, I'm taking my notes here as you see my head lean down. But what we're going to
Well, I can't see
do is
you. I
we're going to
can't
have a
see you on my
series
phone.
of. How's it, brother?
I say no, I can't see you on
Oh,
my
okay.
phone, but I'm
Okay.
hearing you. I can hear you
You
though.
hear me? All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's powerful as well for you to be. I've had it where it's just a black screen and I've had to do the interview. So thank you also
Yeah.
for like that dedication. the baseline. We're going to get into that in one of the workshops, but I think it's an important thing that we get to do, and the way that you're doing
Very,
is actually quite unique.
very important.
So I want to. That's why I'm doing these little pauses. But now I can just take notes, and then I'll do a recap and speak to these things. So I want to just let you ride with it, brother. And thank you. I may only
Absolutely,
interrupt to let the
absolutely.
people know what's going on here.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went about. So once I figured that out, that took me on a whole nother journey. Just eating the plants, liking that it's stopping my episodes, but I still was doing other things. It still took a while. Like I said, I was going back and forth. Eating BS food and then eating the herbs. The BS food to make the pain come back. And then when I think certain thoughts, of course, the pain would come. I didn't recognize that until later on about the emotions that I was holding on to, and the anger and the hate that was eating me up as well, especially when I was eating. Whenever those thoughts come in and I was eating, that's when I really make a correlation because I bring it right up. I think a thought and it'll come right up, and I'm like, whoa, are my thoughts connected to my physical organ? You know what I mean? Because every time I think these thoughts, boom, I throw up. And so anyway, so I went on my journey. I kept on, like I said, I was doing both for a while, and then I just started feeling better and better, and I got tired of doing both. So initially, I was like, okay, I'm okay. Let me just drop some of these habits. I'm tired of the pain coming back. So it's like the pain stopped, but then these different things I was doing, also old habits are bringing it back. So I just got tired of the pain coming back, and I was like, you know what? I'm willing to face these old habits. Forget it. I like not having the pain, and that's what led me to just let me just start studying the plants. So I wrapped up my business. I let go of my business. I let go of my house. I let go of everything. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let go of everything, and I moved to Biloxi, Mississippi, and with my dad, which is where my dad is at. And we clashed because he just knew I was gonna croak in his house. And he was like, his wife was like, he eating the plants, he eating the berries out the yard. This man tripping. So yeah. So I ended up actually moving out of there for a while, and because I was excited. I'm like a little kid now. I feel good. I know something's going on. I still haven't got that diagnosis to tell me, but my body's telling me something is good going on. I started studying the plant.
So at that point, so you left Florida, you closed everything down, and it's just like,
I wasn't in Florida. I was in Georgia.
Okay. Oh, you were in Georgia.
I was in Georgia. I wasn't in Florida.
My bad. So you left, and when you went to the next space, now there's all these things that are growing. Were there more? Was it also an excitement because there were more natural things growing where you went to?
Well, it was the time period. The time I won't say it's more, but now that I think about it, it is more because of the coastline of Biloxi and Mobile, Alabama, and near New Orleans. But at that time when this happened, I moved. It was around summertime, so everything was blossoming everywhere. So I just thought about that when you asked that. But everything was green and growing and blossoming. I just knew that I wanted to keep eating these plants because they're doing something good for my body. And that's when I started but that's the place where I started venturing into the so-called poisonous plants, the so-called poisonous plants.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Where they tell you all the plants are poisonous. And that's, I didn't run across any of those in Georgia, but I didn't realize that I had ate a couple of so-called poisonous plants until after I had already eaten them. And I just knew I felt amazing. So when I read the information later, I was like, poisonous. Like I feel amazing. I feel good.
So you didn't find anything in the literature that spoke the opposite to that? Did you find any aligned literature that said, say a majority of the literature calls something poisonous, but then there's some literature out there that says, no, this is okay?
No, so that's a good question. Yeah. So what I figured out on that is how I researched it. So by this time I was researching things, but the catch is, so say for instance, I'll use an example of one of the plants that I started eating when I was over there, poison ivy. I started eating poison ivy, and I started eating poison ivy, and that was one of the main contributors. Even though it made me sleepy a lot of times, it was one of the main contributors to help heal me. And I didn't. And one time I ate it. So I ate it one time right when the sun was going down, and I felt sleepy, but I felt good. But then I came back and I revisited that same plant during the daytime, and I felt sick. So that's what made. So that's why I was like, whoa, wait, whoa. Like, why am I feeling sick? I purged, but after I purged, I felt amazing. So I'm like, why did this not happen when I ate it the first time? But then it didn't happen. But I still remember, even though I don't like throwing up, I know the good feeling that I felt after I
I
threw up.
understand
So I
the good
still
feeling
was
after a
registering
purge
like I
very
feel
well.
good after. So I'm like, okay, something so-called bad happened, but I still feel good. And that's weird. So I started researching. That's when I found out the truth about the poisonous plants and about how it's no such thing as any poisonous plants. The only thing there is that God made is day plants and night plants. Because what I did, I started researching what animals eat this plant. And when I researched what animals ate the plant, I found out it wasn't nothing but nocturnal animals. So I was like, okay. So during the daytime, and then that's when I figured out during the daytime, that's when the urushiol and the poison comes out when the sun is out. God made it where this plant is not edible and it's poison during the daytime, but at nighttime, you can rub it, touch it. Nobody can break out from poison ivy at nighttime. The urushiol is not active. So, I registered that, and once I found that out, I was like, okay, so there's no such thing as poison, because I was running into contradictions. Some of these plants were saying they were poisonous, but they had all these special bioactives in them. So I was like, okay, that makes no sense. The bio is meant for certain time period to collect it and to eat it, and only by my experience what I was going off of, and that's when I started figuring out, okay, it's a time and a place. God made night plants, day plants. No such thing as this fear stuff about poisons. Even when I did eat it at the wrong time, I still got a good effect after I
My brother,
purged. So I'm like, okay.
let me tell you,
So
can I just tell you about my notepad right now? My pen is smoking.
what you got on there, man?
I'm about to run out of pages. Just keep it going. That's great. And y'all,
Yeah,
I
man.
guarantee most of you guys have never heard nothing like this coming on, So the term to keep in mind that we're going to get into in the workshop, baselines, bioactives, daytime and nighttime differences between, and what is actually a poisonous plant. Keep it going, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I'm trying out all these different things, and my body's feeling good. I gave up so I moved to a new place, so I gave up a lot of those habits I had, because like I said, I was doing drugs and the plants, eating bad food and the plants, and I didn't like the effect of what was happening. So I decided, I said, hey, I'm gonna give up all this negative stuff, and I'm gonna move somewhere new. So now I'm feeling better, and I want to start. Now I'm at the point where I want to start testing it out on people. And of course, the people that knew me, the old me, they looking at me like, man, I'm not finna take nothing from you, man. I know who you were, how you figure it out. They not focused on that I feel better. They're only concerned with the old me and how you figure it out. So I went to the beach and I started hanging on the beach with the homeless people in Biloxi, Mississippi,
Wow.
and I started giving that to them. Any people who have problems and stuff, they'll take. And by this time, I didn't have it in like the form I have it in now. I just pulling plants out of bag that's like off a tree. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a bag and I got some pine needles in it. You know what I mean?
You know what
So
they
so
say,
people
brother?
looking like, man, that's off a tree, man. What is that,
What's up,
man?
brother?
So
Hey,
the
bro.
illusion.
They say that a prophet is never respected in his homeland. So it's funny when you've been around people and you've gone through this amazing shift and they've seen you at your worst, and all of a sudden you're shining brighter than ever, but they still can't see you because they're still projecting an old you. And so
Exactly.
and that's the hard thing for some of us who've gone deep into the space of healing and being able to heal all these people that aren't connected to you per se. They're not family, and yet
Exactly.
they are family because they're open
Exactly.
and they receive. And so it's a thing, to think about, like me having family members who've navigated, even with my cancer, my major healing second time around, my auntie had it as well, right? And I shared
Exactly.
the process that I was going to go through. I said, let's do it together. She said, you do it first. Well, I did it. And then I shared with her, and she still was compromised by the
Yeah.
chemo. So it also
Absolutely.
really hurt me, but it showed me, hey, you got to go forward into the thing that's called for you. And also, and I'm going to back up on all the things that I'm doing, even Instagram. And I want to work with the people who are ready to work with me now. And same, those who are going to come up, who are confident, who are ready to jump in
Yeah.
and do the work that we're called to do, because now's that time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one thing you can pretty much expect is most one thing I've learned is along my journey is the people that's most societally educated are the hardest to break out of the matrix mindset because they think they know something. You know?
Right.
So a lot of my family is educated. So they looking at me, I wasn't educated. I didn't go to school. I didn't do this. But one thing I did, I always thought outside the box. and I never followed everybody. I was an observative type person. You know, if I see you bust your head over there just because everybody else doing it, I'm going the other way. You know,
Me
that's
too.
always been me. Even if I want to run into a wall, I'm going to run into it by myself just because I want to do it, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for doing it. I don't expect
Yeah,
nobody to
man.
run with me because I know I'm going
We
against the grain. So
That's a commonality. You know, we decided to learn
yeah,
our own
that's just
hard
yeah,
lessons, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
stressful for
yeah,
people
yeah.
to watch. You know, and it might not have been common sense for them, but it's an uncommon route to become uncommon men.
Absolutely,
We're here.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, man. So yeah, man. So I started working with people, like I say, the homeless people on the beach, and I started seeing correlations. I wasn't as nowhere near as far as I am now, as far as how many herbs I deal with, you know, what I knew, but those specific common herbs that I was dealing with from Georgia and Mississippi that I ran into, they were working for a lot of situations, not all of them at the time, but a lot of situations, and people were feeling better. So I was like, okay, so it's not just me. I'm just not this lucky person this stuff is just working in. And so, you know, I ended up so after that I ended up moving. So I started studying the plants in Louisiana. So then I started studying the plants. I got with like a little tribe and I started studying these plants. I started actually going deep into research. Then I went back to Florida and to the Everglades and all in the swamps in Central Florida. I started studying all the plants and eating them at the same time. Now, let me tell you, I'm always taste testing. I'm
Same,
always taste testing.
same,
And
brother. I hear
people
you.
like, you just gonna just eat that, man. You don't even know what that is. I had so much faith by then that nothing God created. Once I figured out what God created and what He didn't create, you know, as long as I was in the forest, I know usually things that God created can't live in the forest. You can't put a hybrid. The vegetables we have won't survive in the forest because it's His
Wow.
natural ecosystem.
Well
But
said.
but so I knew that I was already in the right place. Even if I ate the wrong thing, what can it do? Make me throw up, and then I still feel better later. So I started going from that aspect of things, just because I was fascinated with it, and that led me to the next journey of grounding. You know, well, because as I was doing these things, the plants were also changing the biology of my body. Now I know that. You know, I didn't know that at the time. I just know that it was leading me from one thing to another because they all have their own spirits. You know, so it led me to start grounding, earthing. I didn't get to the breathing and the energy work until later on, until I started feeling one day, I'm like, what is this feeling I feel? Because, you know, I was like, I feel something around my body. And I'm like, okay, it's something going on here. And I started back smoking again. So I had already got undiagnosed. So I started back smoking weed again. I'm like, okay, I can feel stuff around my body now because it's different than before. I'm
Right.
like, what is this? Like, I can feel something. So what happened was my cousin Joy, God bless her dead, she had cancer, and I did kind of the same thing you did with your auntie, but she been dealing with for like 6-7 years. She had breast cancer. So I come to her and I'm like, I went up to Georgia, and I'm like, she's in the hospital having an episode, and I'm like, hey, cuz, hey, I have a way where you can cure yourself. And she looking at me like, you're Jermaine. What do you have for me? You know what I mean?
Crazy,
Like
man. I
the
know.
doctors,
I
I've
know.
been
I
I've
understand.
been doing
I get
chemo
it a
for
lot. What are you doing?
years. What can you really give me, man? And then she started judging me. She like, you used to do this back in the day. You was a criminal. You did this. So I'm like, cuz, like, what do I got to do with anything? Listen, I have something that can help you right now. To make a long story short, she ended up never getting out the hospital. I actually was the only one to stay up there with her because she was losing her mind. Her cancer had spread, and it just happened to be I come up there and she's going through it, and I'm begging her to take these herbs that I done made into the water. I made into an extract. I made this nice extract, and when I saw the doctor her doctor walked in and said, "There's nothing else we can do for you," it broke her spirit in half, and within 2 days she died. And on
Damn.
the first day after he told her, because she believed so much in them instead of in herself, you
Wow.
know, um,
Yeah.
and she begged me. She like, cuz, will you please stay with me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just stay with me. So I stayed with her. I woke up the next morning and my auntie thought something was wrong because there was blood all over the floor, and and I thought it was her, but it actually was me. My nose was bleeding, and she had already died.
Wow.
So I had held her hand, and when her soul had left, you know what I mean. And I know that now. I didn't know that all that then. You know what I mean. Now that I know what I
Yeah.
know, I'm backtracking and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what happened, and
Can you break that down a little
yeah,
bit too? Because that I don't know if folks will make the correlation. So you were with her until the moment that you
yeah,
transitioned, and when you woke up,
yeah,
you
uh,
had a nosebleed. You had actually an energetic
yes,
and physiological
exchange,
reaction to
yes, it
the
was energetic
connection.
exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cause I was holding her hand, so I was
Right.
so in the middle of the night she had jumped up screaming like Jermaine help me, Jermaine help me, Jermaine help me, and she's weak, she's falling down, you know what I mean, she's and I'm helping her go to the bathroom back and forth,
Yeah.
so I held her hand while we slept that night, and she passed away the next morning, and my nose was bleeding, I didn't know at the time, but my auntie was like, you had which is her mom was like, you had an exchange with Joy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I wasn't on the metaphysical thing at the time. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And after that, let me explain. After that, that's when I started feeling the energy field.
Mm.
So she left me with something. I don't know what it was, but she left me with, something. And that made me drive even harder because then it was like, okay, what you gonna do? Your cousin passed away. Are you gonna change more things about yourself? Or are you gonna hold? What are you gonna do with this information you have? What are you gonna do? So I started trying to reach out to people,
I'm asking
talk to people.
you to pause for a second, brother. So, I mean, this is powerful. Like the hose is fully turned on, and so one thing that we're also going to navigate, because very few people speak to this, right, is
Mhm.
when people transition. So you had a natural, non-sinister, uncorrupted experience of holding a person's hand, the energy exchange, what can happen in the body of a person, and the power movement, right? And being
Yeah,
around a person during the vortex of transition. So what also goes on is there are a lot of people who have been sacrificed. There are a lot of things that go on in our society that we're not aware of that are similar, where we are bringing people into a space where they destroy themselves, and there is another form of hand holding that occurs where people are able to grab the energy transfer. This is a function of the matrix. Okay, you're not going to hear this talked about, but I definitely want to point that out for those of you who are listening, because I want to go deeper into that, and I'll bring in some other people as well who can go deeper into it, because this is your lived experience. So it's going to shed some light on what you're sharing, because also you've had an expansion as a result of that. You know,
absolutely,
we'll
absolutely. Yeah,
talk more about
it
it as
sure did
well.
do
But
something.
that's like we should get into it. You know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it sure did. It did something to my body.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started feeling the energy field around my body. I was real sensitive to the energy field around my body, after that. And my body was prepared for that as well because I did a level of cleansing with the plants. Unbeknownst to
Right.
me, it wasn't a plan. It just was how the universe made it. I did a level of cleansing emotionally. I had got rid of the cancer by then, and my cells were open to moving up now into a new phase. And it just happened to be I moved up, and it was emotional because I'm real close with this person, which is my cousin, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it opened me up. And so I started feeling the energy field, and I started becoming fascinated with the energy field, and I started being able to feel other people's energy field, and it was like almost like a new toy at the time,
Mm.
and it was like, okay, so I'm not tripping.
Right.
At first I thought it was weed. I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was the weed. I was like, man, you hallucinating or something, man. And then I started going outside and I started being able to see it, but the spinning around the body, the Merkaba, but so I actually stopped smoking because of that. Because I was like, man, you must be hallucinating. But I still
The
started being
paranoia.
able to
You're like,
feel that.
I'm not open.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, we gotta cut this off. We gotta stop. Whatever's getting a little weird now.
Mm.
So I stopped smoking and it desensitized it a little bit, but I still was able to feel it. And so then I embraced it, because what I started doing was I still had the plants, so I still was picking the plants. So I'm going up to the store. Nobody is wanting to take nothing from me still, because they like, I'm back in Georgia, by the way, because Joy was in Georgia, and nobody would take anything from me. And I'm like, okay, so I got to change. So if I'm gonna get this message out, I have to change something about me, because I still had the prison mentality. I didn't want to smile, didn't want to, I had to change. So I had to give up the old me in order to move forward with the new me to get this message out. So I started doing different things like smiling. I started writing down goals. Okay, you're gonna smile at 3 strangers every day. When I tell you that was harder to do, then that was like some of the hardest stuff to do for me than some of the physical stuff I've been
Hey,
through.
my brother.
You know what I mean?
Brother,
Like,
let
cause
me
I'm
just
like,
share
man, they gonna
this.
clown you.
I smile a lot, and
Uh,
I've also taken people from really hood scenarios, even in the islands,
Yeah,
into, the smiley, more whatever, and there's
yeah,
that they feel so threatened, because that behavior is we're so unaccustomed. I didn't grow up where I
exactly.
couldn't smile. I'm a smiling type of person, but I know
Yeah,
what it's like to have to mean mug, so I just more so keep a straight face, you know. But to see
absolutely,
brothers
absolutely.
have to shift into that, and how it
Yeah,
hurts
yeah,
and
yeah.
how it feels. You feel so vulnerable,
It was
being
rough,
able to do what you
bro.
should be able to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. It was rough, man. It was rough because I was like, man, like I say, coming from the street mentality, I'm like, man, man, they gonna clown you, man. They gonna, you coming up with
Yeah,
some plants, people gonna bat you down. But ultimately, I found out the opposite
so
though.
proud of you.
That was the thing.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, people are willing to at least talk to me about the plants. They still wouldn't take them, but they at least talk to me. And then certain people would. Once I got to the water and learning about the microbial water, because I was in the woods one day and I was thirsty and I was broke and and I wanted some water. And that little voice in the back, of my head was like, man, this is a stream, man. Running through a park, man, you gonna die. Might be
the
poison,
dogs
fertilizer,
don't
all
die,
kind of stuff in
right?
the
Yeah,
water.
I know.
I I know, but that's the thing. That's the thing I always go back to. Well, I see animals drinking. Why I can't drink it?
Yeah,
And I was thirsty, and I drank the water, and I felt the water move through my body. I could feel the current as it went down me and through me. I was like, "What is this?" So I knew it was something good because vibrational water, meaning living water, you're supposed to feel it as you drink it, and it goes through you. It's actually the chemical composition of H3O2, not even H2O. I
that's
found
right.
out later on. It's not even H2O.
That's why I'm.
H2O is dead. H2O is
That's
dead
why I'm
water.
eating water
It's
from it
dead.
right
They killed
now.
everything.
To
Yeah,
properly
they
hydrate. Yeah,
killed. Exactly. They killed everything. And then find out later on that 99% of the human genome is made of bacteria. I'm like, well, okay, so, but anyways, so I got into that. So I started drinking the water and the herbs and everything just started just adding on, going from there. I just started adding, I just started listening to that weird voice. That voice that was weird, but it was actually an ancestral voice that wasn't weird. It was leading me to everything I
okay.
needed to know. And then, make a long story short, I started formulating the compounds because I wanted more people to take it. And I started realizing that people are under the illusion. Like, say, for instance, I tell people all the time, no matter where they are, I can tell you what tree to go get if you're sick. Because there are common trees everywhere. If you're sick, like coronavirus or whatever, I was telling people, hey, if you're in Arizona, just go get the pine needles. It'll stop it immediately as soon as you swallow it. No, don't go make a tea with it. Don't do all this other stuff. You're doing too much. No.
Right.
Eat it. Get all the bioactives. Let your water, because you're 70% water, break down everything. That way you get the fiber, you get the bioactives, you get everything. Do it the old-fashioned way. Stop trying to be extra smart. We talk to be too smart. Just eat it. And
I'm gonna pause this for a second, brother, and I want to say this
okay.
because we're gonna do a workshop, and I want folks who are dedicated to actually invest in the time, to receive this wisdom from you
Absolutely.
as well. And so I want to, and I'm looking at the time too, so I know we're gonna have to wrap it. But
Okay.
what I would say is this: you are profound. I'm extremely grateful that we're at this point where we're getting to know each other. For those of you who are watching, you are looking
Absolutely.
at two men who are serious about the healing. We also have a deep understanding through our own process of what it is to really connect with what's natural in healing for you. And we can also utilize the ingenuity of the human in guidance with our ancestors. And when you start to do these things, people come for you. They can feel your energy. They start trying to take you off your path. No one's taken
True.
myself or him off of our path. So I need you guys to understand this. We're not afraid to speak to what needs to be spoke to as we understand it. And so, with that said, even my commitment to you, brother, is like I'll ride for you in truth, right? And these things
Absolutely.
get put to the test.
Same.
There's
Likewise.
folks that come and they want to capitalize on something unique and novel, even though they say there's nothing new under the sun. We're not doing anything new per se. These are things that are new for us and novel for what's currently going on, but it's us going back. It's us cutting away the extra, and being able to
True.
stand in the source, just like my brother's name, and
True.
listening. And so there are reasons why they would want to keep people dispersed. They would want to keep us away from our ancestral things because there's ancestral things that are coming out here. And every human being has this, right? But for us to really be able to
Absolutely.
navigate in the fullness of who we are, that's a full spectrum brother that you're looking at on the screen, not just me. him. And we're in a time right now where we're coming together to prepare things, okay? And we're aware of the resistance. But we are also the resistance, and we're bred for it. You know, we're born for it, and we're not asking for trouble and drama. But I'm also saying, your ass clap. You know, like if
Yeah,
it is what it is, and we accept it,
absolutely.
resolute acceptance of whatever needs to be. But it's with the intention of bringing forth the good that we've been called to bring forth, and we've navigated through that space. And so I'm looking forward to these workshops, and I'm looking forward to a proper reintroduction, you know, in fact. And so thank you, Halo, as well as my brother Halo. So now gathering the A team, and we're gonna come forth, and we're gonna have things for
Absolutely.
people to receive. I'm putting the work in, my brother's putting the work in, and there's knowledge that will help you to unlearn the BS. So you have to be open
Very
to
true.
it. You have to make the decision. Sorry, your family may be in the way, but you'll be able to help them by virtue of your example, the energy that's going to be pouring off of you that you'll be emitting at the end of, you know, whatever trials that you have to go through. And then this is also like us, we have to support each other in this thing. So we put our mask on first, and we know what it actually looks like to put our mask on first. And it's not what you think, you know, but it is what it
True.
is. And we can explain and we can share. And when we come together, we're going to be able to share different insights. There's a lot that you've shared, and I'm getting downloads right now of the insights, but you had to go through it to actually speak to it for me to be in a place then to receive. So I'm definitely rocking with you. And I just wanted to, again, thank you for coming on, because you're speaking to logic, principles, application. You're speaking to the metaphysics, the what you see in the visual, and then we'll get into the metaphysics behind it, but also even a pathway. We even have a pathway now, just in this one live, that other people know about. Yo, Merida's book, my
Absolutely.
man Halo's gonna come down there, and Halo, I'd like to have you on the Obsidian Soul Lounge from the get-go.
Absolutely.
So we'll connect with Halo as well, and
Absolutely. Let's get you going, Haley.
you know, we're for the family. We're for men who also need to have the opportunity to have things experienced and to really, digest, to integrate what's happened in the space. So it looks like us in a space, retreat, workshops, gatherings, being able to allow you to speak, but allow you to learn. If you're not open to learning, don't even bother, in truth, because we've
Absolutely.
learned things that need to be shared. And so I know you can feel the energy, but that's man energy speaking with authority. And we're both in our authority in this life, and it's only going to get better. But we're going to activate that within you. And sometimes we will be quiet. We're also capable of learning from you. So we look forward to that. So I hope this doesn't scare some of you off, but if it does, it's meant to be scared. But we have a good
Absolutely.
intention. And what I appreciate about you, my brother, is the fact that you've also, life has given you the opportunity to really navigate in the purity of your intention. And this is where I take that stance of, look, I'm looking after my brothers, because there is a way that we've navigated a molestation, and we're coming back. The plants have been molested. They've been made to be something that they're not, and they've been unfolded before their time. And so it's really about
Absolutely.
having the time to get to know what really is, having the time and space to make it to an age. We're fortunate. I know a lot of my buddies are gone, but they've transitioned, and I can hear them now. But to get to a point where we can make sense of what we've been seeing, and to have the time to do it without it being interrupted, that's the molestation. And then to be able to say, okay, this is where I stand, this is what I have. So this is me. We still have some more time, but I wanted to interject all of that into the field, and for those who will pop on. And then I want you to, and I'm going to fall back because you already have my gratitude and respect, and I'd like you to just share and also, give a bit of a wrap up for who you are, where they can find you, but also whatever else you want people to know as we prepare to take this next step together.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you summed up a lot of things. I feel like we are the balance. There has to be a certain amount of people that's the balance out here in the world, but, to present that option to people. It's not always going to look like exactly what you think it's going to look like, but yeah. So, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm starting to do a lot more material on that. Instagram, Facebook. So Instagram is I think main source underscore energy. You should see main source logo pop up.
Yep.
Also on Facebook as well. On not as active on that because I'm so busy collecting and making herbs. Making compound. But but yeah, that's the main place you can get at me, or Gmail at Jermaine@gmail.com. And yeah, I say a lot of different things. You know, I speak. I go live a lot, giving a lot of different pointers on a lot of different things on Instagram. You can find me on there. But I know I'll be back in Tulum real soon, my brother. You know, we got a lot of things to do, man. A lot of
Absolutely.
things to do, and I just appreciate it, man. I'm appreciative, man. I'm appreciative of the circle. I'm appreciative of everybody, you know, who's to be able to share this with everybody from people who have
Yeah.
experience. You know, not saying not saying from a societal education standpoint, but from an experience standpoint with natural. You know, because a lot of natural people are there, you know, not a naturopaths and stuff. I'm glad I didn't get associated with any of those names. Naturopath. I don't even like to call myself a herbalist. You know,
And we
because
don't have
even when
to.
I went to
There's a.
herbalist,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna share this with you though. When I went
Yes, sir.
when I started getting a little involved with, you know, with the plants, I said, you know what, maybe I should go and get some kind of title, you know, and I started it. And when I started it, one of the stipulations that they had was you can't use the native plants. Even though
What?
they're indigenous, they use the word native. You can't use a native plant. They're telling you to get all these hybrids online because they're going to keep you coming back because the hybrids don't do the stuff that's going to cure you.
Right.
That's why people like, I take my sea moss, I take my this, I do
You
this,
got.
I do. It doesn't work. No, you have the wrong plant or getting it from the wrong people who not sourcing it from the source, which is Mother Nature. They're getting it, they're online, they're getting it for cheap, just like everybody else, and then
Yeah.
they're just reshipping it to you. They have something called sea moss farms. They don't even get it out the ocean,
Yeah.
and so it's chemicals in it as well. So you
Gotcha.
know, it's like you know, it's very rare to get a herbalist or somebody who's gonna teach you
Yeah.
how to use the things that God made. Like you don't have to go to Africa, you don't have to go to Brazil, you don't have to go to the fucking ancient rainforest and
Yeah.
shit to get something that's gonna benefit you. God wasn't drunk;
Oh,
He
a
had
lot of
stuff
people ain't gonna
everywhere.
like what you said,
I
and I mean,
know,
I
I
did
don't
go
care.
to
You know,
Africa
I don't
for
give a
my
damn.
healing, but that was and I worked with some indigenous medicine, and that's my lineage, though, right? And so I also want to put this out here. Now, I'm preparing my vessel to work with that medicine of Iboga, and there's people
Yeah,
out here doing it, but they're just working with a piece of it, not the whole thing. And there's some people who are working with the
exactly.
whole thing and they're fucking around. I'm not one of those people, and I just want to put that out there. Like it's for healing.
Absolutely.
I've turned down a lot of people coming my way that want to have a little play with the medicine, whereas I know my path is to help people to repattern themselves, to navigate drug addiction, to navigate PTSD, and then for some people who I'm getting the call to help them activate another aspect of themselves. This is what Ez is for with that medicine. So if
Yeah,
you're open
yeah,
to that and
yeah.
you want to reach out, but not only that, there's what we do before you do the work, the journey
Absolutely. Absolutely.
after the journey. And if you can't commit to that, then I'm okay because I'm also, I'm not seeking to be corrupted. And I feel this about you. We know what the real currency is. It's not the fiat money. It's not this house.
Yeah.
It's not these fake relationships. It's not a pseudo spiritual, so-called community, but it is really activating the full essence of yourself and allowing you to resonate and to pull in the people who are ready to do. And the other stuff is okay. It is what it is. But like my man said, there's a balance. There's got to be the balance. And so we are representing a balance in the space. And it's that time. It's right about that time right now. And we have our own things, right? I'm by no means perfect, but I sure as F am committed. And you guys are about to feel that commitment,
100%.
but from a
100%.
space of love. But this is what love looks like. Hmm?
Yeah.
Hmm?
100%, man.
Thank you,
100%,
brother.
man. Hey, man. Hey, man. Like you said, man. We're gonna. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate you.
um, hey, man. Let's do it, man. You know.
Okay. So let me
All
put
right.
the plug out. Also, I'm Ezria. Ezria. As far as you guys need to know, you see me on Instagram. I'm gonna share this, so this will also be on YouTube. Source and I will begin to do podcasts to speak more in depth to these things, and we'll create a space where those who are interested in learning these things can invest to receive this knowledge and this information, and there can be an exchange because that's appropriate, and some of it we'll be sharing for free. And also, we're going to be doing this work to come in regards to ceremony, gatherings, healing, because we want complete ceremony. Some of the shit's been incomplete and left you guys hanging.
100%.
And so, because we've been
100%.
left hanging, but we're now here to complete the circuit. We're about completion, and there'll be other things for the next generation to take on. We're going to do our part. And so the energy that you feel from me, some of you may not have felt before, but the truth is it's always been there. But now it's time for me to let that go. And there's some ways that I'm going to dial it back a bit too. Lindsay, aloha. Get ready, Miss Lady. All right. And so we got things that are on the way. What you can look forward to us is we're going to do an Obsidian Soul Lounge, and that'll be our workshop, and we'll start to do the workshops in the lounge, but this will be on Zoom. So I'll create the site and link and post it. What do you think, my brother? You want to maybe wait a week or two, or just next week? I'm going to give people time.
Hey man, hey man, you let me know. I'll fit it into the schedule. If you want to start tomorrow, we'll fit in the schedule, man.
My man. All right.
I'm gonna go right now.
So let's get it. And so what you're going to see from the two of us are there'll be gatherings here. They'll be online first. We'll do online. And then for those of you who really want to go deep, then we'll plan a space for us to do a journey here where you get to learn from our processes. You'll also get to create your process because we want you to take this information and we want you to share it. We're not trying to get you hooked. We're not, so to say, there's a lot of information so you can be in the process, but we want to give to you. We've given to you on this show right here. Take as much as you can from it. And then we want to cultivate you. We want to cultivate the men as well to get in touch with the plants. It's not just the women who have a green thumb. If we actually look in history, there's the husbandry is men working with the land, working with the cycles, working with the beauty of the woman, navigating, having an eye for the period and all of the different structure, and then being able to hold that structure and the strength of our hands that was given to us to help move the path forward. And so this is it.
Yeah.
Ezra, you can catch me on Obsidian, Ezra too. Go ahead, my brother. I'm sorry.
So speaking on that, that's very important because I'm gonna be honest with you. Through working with a lot of different people, and most of them being females, I'm gonna tell you, in order to change the generations, it have to be the males.
Yeah.
The female, I love but in order to change, meaning generational, meaning that hey, this is what we're doing in our culture. Yeah. We're bringing our culture back of natural healing. Not just, okay, I'm gonna heal you, I'm gonna get a plant. I remember my grandma doing it. She didn't have the pull to change the culture though.
Yep.
I remember her healing me with natural herbs, but she didn't have the pull. You see how my dad turned out. He still turned out to be Matrix, a doctor. And he forgot all about his roots, and he was, so what I'm saying is it's going to take the males to the females are the ones that spread the nurture, but the males are the ones that have to enforce that this is what we're doing. We're going to make conscious decisions. We're going to make life-changing decisions because the goal should be to live, not to live fast and die fast. The goal should be to live an expanded life and be able to, live and enjoy certain things, in the matrix, be able to jump in and out the matrix. But you don't become the matrix. See, that's where you can become the matrix, being in the matrix too long. So it's like the men have to make it like, hey, this is most important. Hey, just like me getting money and providing, us living, our health is most important because that's how they get us the most. They get us the most through our health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we feel like victims at that time. Whenever they want to pull the button and say, oh, this is new. Now we feel like, oh, I'm a victim. It's because you didn't spend enough time focusing on the things before the storm came.
Right.
So
this is where we come in.
Speak on that. Yeah.
And I appreciate you speaking on it because I'm going to stand with that unabashedly because that's where I'm standing. That's why I made the shift to say I'm focusing on the men as a gift to the women, as a gift to the children. But no apology necessary because that's where I stand. Everyone watching, who knows, is focusing on cultivating good, strong men. There's a reason why society historically, they've tried to cut us out, keep us apart, remove us from the family, and so we're taking that stance now, no matter what the cost of it is, because we'll spread the word and the next generation will do the same. This is the beginning of a shift. So prepare yourself. And it's been coming along the way, because we're not going to navigate from the same fear that the other, generations did. Rest and bless their souls. We're the procession. We carry the energy of the ancestors, and we're bringing it right to your doorstep. So we're working with the men. We want them to cultivate these things. We're taking responsibility for the whole thing, the whole shit, so to say. In extreme ownership, but in that taking responsibility, of course, we're going to cultivate balance. But this is some masculine, like real masculine stuff, and it's not just talk. But there will be some talk involved, and there's also going to be a feminine component to holding the space. But we're tasking the men, and we're coming for and we're seeking to allow our brothers, to enable our brothers to grow into the full strength of who they're called to be, ourselves included, and then to project that because we hold the structure. And I'm willing to say that in anyone's face because in the end, we have history that's already shown us what it is, right? And we know why things were attacked in certain ways. And so this is now to set the standard, to create the structure, to be the structure, to understand how to do it, and then, we're gonna put our mouth, the money, not even the money, the currency, the truth of who we are, into play. Now, starting yesterday, because that's what needs to happen, and so this is what we're here to do, and we own it. You feel me?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So thank you, brother. And
So yeah, man.
I'm speaking with this energy. So for those of you who've been asleep, you men who've been sleeping, it's time to wake up. And if you want to stay asleep, go ahead, stay asleep. It's okay. But the ones who wake up are going to account for 10 times your number. Might as well get on the bandwagon, but it's a good bandwagon. It's a good band. It's better than Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I'm saying? Respect to them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Thank you. All right.
That'll work then, Ed.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you all for holding space
All
for
right,
my
man.
fire. And you might think, oh, that sounds emotional. But I'm putting that
Nah, man.
energy
None of
in
that, man.
motion.
Man, do your thing, man.
I'm gonna do my thing, brother. And so
Do
also
your
for
thing,
those
bro.
of you, we want to connect with more brothers who are in this space. And the one thing that I request is you let us be who we are. We're gonna be who we are, but don't come around trying to change us, trying to fit us into any mold. Observe the
That ain't
mold
gonna
that
happen.
you see before you, and if anything, let us create more, and hold the
Man.
space for you to be who you are, because we're gonna be all of who we are right now. We don't need any permission. The privilege has been given to us because we breathe, we hear, we exist. And so just observe, feel it, receive the activation from what it is to be in our presence, in the full ambience, in the full ambience of what we're calling in from source as a unique expression of you, and take that as permission to be who you are. and let who you are be beneficial for those who are to come after you. Okay? Because this is your turn now. Now it's a journey of maturation, it's the marathon, and it's decidedly choosing to act in the power of who we are to set things right and then to enjoy it. We're gonna have some fun, by the way. And I won't always be coming at the stage, at this place with that energy, but just know it's always there. Here's,
Absolutely, man.
of course. I appreciate you. I love you, brother. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much
man.
for
Man,
being here.
I appreciate you a lot, bro.
Man,
We'll
we're
be
gonna
getting
get it.
together.
All right, so stay tuned. Then we'll just put it out right now. So maybe within a week's time, we'll do the next Obsidian Soul Lounge. So we have two coming. One with our brother Juan Jimenez, and we're going to get into, again, some of the healing of the nervous system, anxiety, some other Eastern medicine, Occidental medicine, as they would call it. Not accidental, but Occidental, right? The left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then we're going to get into healing, and we're going to, myself and Source, we're going to have we got so much information to disseminate. We're going to have to break it down bit by bit. So get in the very beginning, or we'll have these things saved for you to come back later and prepare. That means pen, notebook, rest. and then we hope and encourage that you put these things into play. If you missed the beginning of this, go back and rewind, save it, and then expect to find it I'm going to put it on my YouTube. My brother, if you go ahead and crack open a YouTube, we'll add that to yours as well. We'll work on building the structure, but for sure by the end of today, I'll have this up on my YouTube for you to watch, because we know Instagram. We're fortunate
Okay,
that
just
some of you have been
send
on
it to
this
me.
long.
Yes. Send me where I can find you on YouTube, man. I
Yeah,
got you.
man. It's
Appreciate it.
just like this. So it's going to be at Epic Ezria, and most of the longer posts that I'll share here, we'll do our lives here as an intro, and then we're going to go deep with the Zoom links and the Obsidian Soul Lounge
Okay.
proper. And I will post these videos for people to share. I'm not going to post the videos that we create in the Obsidian Soul Lounge. They'll have to be part, of the gathering. But these we'll go ahead and post. Does that sound good to you?
Cool, man. Let's
All
do
right.
it, man.
Respect.
Absolutely.
Respect.
All right, bro.
Love you, man.
All right, y'all
Aloha.
take it easy, man. I
Aloha to
appreciate
everyone
everybody.
who signed on. Have a wonderful, what's today, Thursday? Sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your time flying, bro.
Cheers,
Yeah.
brother. Thank you. All right,
All
let me
right,
go ahead and set this up, and then I'm going to tag you as well so that you can share it to your page, right?
that'll work.
And then I'll add the
Cool, man.
information, and then if there's anything you want me to change, let me know. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for you, man. You saw how my eyes lit up when I saw
Same here.
you at the mentorship meeting. I was like, oh,
Likewise, that's my dog, man. I'm like, man, that's my partner.
Yes. It's a good feeling. And you know what else I want to speak
100%.
to when we get the chance as well?
What's that, bro?
We're going to talk to discernment, okay? Because they're also going to, like we said, as you start to open and unfurl, there are going to be people, there's going to be vampiric folks, there are going to be folks who don't have and want to see you stand strong in your masculine essence, and they're going to talk shit. They're going to, or try to hook onto you,
Yeah,
and they're going to try to pull
yeah,
you off your path. So we're going to kind of give you some of the math,
yeah.
which is what he's been given through the logic to be able to stand up to that and to know, no, this is, if you want it, you're not aligned.
You know, we're gonna do what we do. It's not gonna be for everybody. So I'm
It's
gonna
not
tell
going
you
to
that.
be.
If you're coming in there, unhumble, feeling like you know something, feeling like you educated, stay your ass out of there already. If you're not coming to learn, I'm gonna tell you off the rip.
Yeah.
Because I can learn from everybody. They can learn from me. We're already starting at a place of we got this from experience,
Yep.
not from educational stuff. Some of the stuff that I'm gonna share is gonna be experience, and it's not gonna be, same thing with is. So, it's not gonna be a debate, about anything. Either you want to try it or stay your ass home. That's
Yep.
that.
That's that. If
That's
that's
that.
good enough for me, I'm gonna close on that note. Love
All
you,
right.
brother. Aloha. I'll check in with you
All right,
soon,
man. Take
okay?
it
Give me 45 minutes.